mainly made the jump because my wife had a hard time finding a job. So she worked at some clinics that made some very inappropriate comments regarding females and stuff like that. So I'm just like,
yeah,
can't have that. And she was my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, if I'm working really hard and I can't like build something for you, I'm going to jump ship so that we can build something together.
Your journey, your speed, your story. Welcome to Find Your Pace. Dr. Andy Fata-Chan, welcome to Find Your Pace.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a cool space.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We've definitely put a lot of work into it and it's still a work in progress, but I'm really excited to have you on. I've known of you since I moved to the city, but then I met you probably 2-ish years ago and you came highly recommended from my boyfriend. I haven't gone to yet and that's my own personal fault because I'm just lazy, to be honest. But for those that don't know who you are a physical therapist based in New York City, co-founder of Moment Physical Therapy and Performance. I keep wanting to say movement. Moment. Let's not mess that up. And we're going to talk about the name there because I did see you talk about it. And you're someone who works with everyone from everyday runners to elite athletes. You're not about quick fixes. It's actually about understanding your body, getting stronger, and building something sustainable. So today I would love to talk about pain, posture, injuries, strength training, and probably debunking a few of the things that we've been told our whole life. But before we dive into all of that, what made you decide to become a physical therapist?
Oh, wow. I had no idea what I wanted to do growing up. My father was a chef. He retired about 10 years ago in a restaurant in Soho, and he cooked French food. And growing up, I was like, maybe want to pursue something like that. But being raised by an immigrant family, like, no, you should do something better. And it wasn't until I got injured after we had a sorority mixer in college. We went to a trampoline park. And we're just bouncing around like constantly. I'm doing, I'm an impressionable kid in college trying to impress the girls. So I'm doing crazy backflips and stuff and landing in the most awkward positions. I wake up the following day and I can't feel my arms. My arms are numb and tingling. And it gets a little bit better throughout the day. So I go to the gym afterwards and I try to bench. Wasn't happening. Like numbness came back. So I was like, all right, I don't know what to do. Went to the college nurse and they're like, you should go to physical therapy. So I went to physical therapy in Buffalo, New York. That's where I was in school.
Wait, which school did you go to?
University of Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I almost went to Buff State.
Oh.
Very cold. How cold was that?
Freezing.
Yeah.
Freezing. I met this woman named Allie, Dr. Allie. She was amazing. And as she was working with me, one, she was just a joy to be around. And I could see that she was like happy to do the work that she was doing. But when I got back to like benching weights again, I remember looking Allie in the eye and I was just like, holy cow, I've never seen another adult be so happy. Like she was literally smiling ear to ear when I got back to benching. And I looked at her, she looked so fulfilled and I was like, I need to know what that feels like. And it feels like I need to become a physical therapist. So shout outs to Allie, Sports PT of New York in Tonawanda, Buffalo area. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to go back. You said you're immigrant. So you grew up obviously from an immigrant family. Did they have expectations of you to be like a doctor or something? Yeah.
Every Asian stereotype is true. Every Asian stereotype is true. And my brothers and I try to do the best to be the complete opposite. We're like running around, like I'm from Queens, New York. So like my brothers and I always got into trouble, stayed out late. My oldest brother used to run poker games in our house. And like, we just did everything the opposite of what my parents wanted, but we ended up okay.
And how did your parents feel when you decided to become a physical therapist?
I think it was like, you're going to be a doctor, right? Because it's a doctorate of physical therapy. It's not the traditional medicine kind of perspective, but I think my parents were ecstatic that I was actually going to pursue something because leading up to all the way up until senior year of college, I was not good academically. I was probably like a C+ student. And I spent a lot of my time like flipping sneakers. Like I had a serious sneaker reselling business all the way until I graduated physical therapy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what were you in school for originally?
I was in Baruch and around, I guess it's Flatiron area, or I don't even know what they are, but literally here in the city, CUNY. I didn't get into any schools coming out of high school initially, the first round. So they were doing like Spirit Week and people were wearing like their new hoodies of the school they were attending. And people were like, yo, Andy, where's yours? And I was like, it's kind of corny. But I just didn't get into any schools yet. The second time around when they sent all the other notices, like, hey, we have a spot open. Do you want to come to Baruch? I was studying business, but I think I got like a C- in business. So I ended up cheating a lot in my first year of college, passing like college algebra, thanks to the person next to me, doing well enough to transfer to Buffalo. When I transferred to Buffalo, I still got into academic probation. The only way that I can graduate in 4 years was psychology. So I graduated a psychology degree.
And you haven't done anything with that?
Not directly.
Like work-wise?
But I think as physical therapists and honestly any profession, like you're always dealing with human beings. So you have to understand some of those things to a degree.
I feel like anyone that works with somebody one-on-one ends up becoming their their mental health therapist. I'm sure people come to you and they vent about their days when they're getting work done.
Yeah, there's a great book about coaching. And this guy says like, you should be very confident in coaching someone that's never had a coach before. Because if that same person went to the corner of a street and just talked everything out in their head to a lamppost, they would feel better. Mm-hmm. So I think about that a lot, where it's like, I don't necessarily need to respond in a way to give this person guidance with some of the things that they're struggling with. Sometimes I just need to like really listen to them, be present, and just be like, that fucking sucks.
Yeah. Just be on their side for
like,
a bit.
Dude, that sucks.
So you graduated from Buffalo. Right after college, what did you do?
I graduated from Buffalo. I think I had a 2.7. And that was including all of my retakes. So if you didn't take the highest out of your retakes, I was like a 2.4. I was working 40 hours in the Upper West Side in a place called Pro Health PT OT. It's on 72nd and West End. After work, I would take the train straight to Flushing. I'd buy all the Nike sneakers I possibly could that I could sell on eBay. And I'd go home. And on the weekends, I would drive to all the different Nike stores. And I would take the nights that I had school, I would go to school in Long Island. And it was just community college to get my grades up. So that was the grind for like a solid year. It was just go to work, either go to biology class and dissect frogs, or I'm going to, go buy sneakers and resell them.
That sneaker business, are you still doing it?
No, but I own a lot of sneakers. I own
sure.
Christy just wanted to, my wife was like, what are you doing? I think I have over 100 pairs of sneakers.
I was going to say, how does she feel about that?
Yeah, she loves it because I started buying her sneakers. She's like, you can't buy yourself any more sneakers. So I started buying her sneakers.
That's nice. Yeah. And then you can just mask with her sneakers with yours. Like, so then she won't notice. Like, well, you have just as much sneakers now. So when did you officially become a physical therapist?
August 2019, I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where did it go from there?
So August 2019, I graduated. One of my fraternity brothers, Gary, worked at a clinic called Reload Physical Therapy. And I had reached out to him. It's like, hey, do you know anyone that's hiring? And they happened to be hiring. So Reload Physical Therapy at the time, it was operating out of Performance House. They've since bought out the space on 14th and 5th. And it's owned by someone named Ryan Chow, phenomenal person, good friend and mentor. I started working out of there. And I swear we were I passed my boards in November. So I started practicing that November 2019, literally in like 4 months, like pandemic happened. Mm-hmm. So when the pandemic happened, it was just like, I didn't really know what to do. I was super new to the field. I spent a lot of my time just studying, learning, and doing what I could. But prior to the pandemic happening, there's a funny story. Trevor used to do these crazy classes like 6 a.m. in the morning. It was like burn 1,000 calories in an hour. And there'd be like smoke coming out of the room and like loud music. And it'd be like 6 a.m. You're treating someone with chronic pain. And I'm like, yeah, there's a party going on in there.
Sorry for that guy. Apologies for that guy. For anyone who doesn't know who Trevor is my boyfriend. So yeah, not at that time though. Thank God. So 2019... Or that was 2019.
2019, going to 2020, pandemic happens. And we kind of just went, hey, let's do whatever we can to serve the people in our community. We were hosting online classes. We were doing kettlebells at the park, socially distanced. We were doing anything we can just to provide support. Mm-hmm. And I think at that time, fitness was like all over the place because people were like, we don't know what to do. Everything was in person. So all of this like online coaching and all those kind of things like were not a novel thing. And that's when like Peloton kind of like really started ripping. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was 2020 for like a solid year before we got back into the gyms. And once we did, it was like grind.
Yes. And you were, from my perspective of what I've heard, is that you were like the top PT at Reload for a few years. Or a couple years.
Yeah, I was there at Reload for about 2 years, and I got pretty busy within that, like coming back from pandemic. And I honestly just attributed it to the fact that like I would wake up every single day for like an hour or two, do a bunch of reading, do a bunch of like online webinars, courses, and then I'll go to work. And then when I come home, I would still do the same exact thing. So I just tried my best to condense time as quickly as possible to get as good as I can. But by the time I left, I was probably the busiest, if not only second to Ryan. Yeah.
You definitely super busy. When it comes to you making the decision. So now for anyone that doesn't know, you own Moment Physical Therapy and Performance.
Yeah.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. You own that. What or when did you start to think, or have you always thought that you wanted to start your own physical therapy? But was there like a turning point where you were like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be working under someone else anymore?
No, for sure. I think I got to a point where I realized that like I was delivering a ton of value. So I was seeing a lot of one-on-one sessions. I helped rebuild the website. I was writing blogs. I took sales calls. I built out the exercise library. I did youth athletic development. I managed 70 plus kettlebell athletes online. I pretty much had my hands in all aspects of the business. I was also designing merch at one point as well. So I just really at that time wanted to make like anything that I'm a part of, I want to make sure that it's the best. So it doesn't matter if I'm working for myself or for someone else. Even when I worked at Chipotle, I'm like, I'm going to be the best burrito wrapper.
You worked at Chipotle
for a year. One of the best jobs I ever had.
I think about that when I worked at Sonic. Still to this day, best job.
You get a meal when you come in, you get a meal during lunch, and you take a meal home.
Is that still the case though?
I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah,
anymore.
I think they might have pulled back on that. That's crazy.
So when I was there, I was just like, I wanted to make the best, but at the same time, it's like, I knew that there were a lot of other people that were physical therapists for me. They were more senior than me. And for me, I didn't want to be measured by how much time I was in a company or a business. I wanted to be measured by the outcome that I could produce. And I feel like I can really produce a better outcome than everyone else because I've been putting in so much time. I want to also be compensated for that. So it just felt like I was doing a ton of work and not getting the compensation that I would have liked. Now, things have changed without a doubt. Mm-hmm. And nothing but kudos to the team at Reload. Still friends with everyone there. Nothing but good things to say about them. And I love Ryan to death. I mainly made the jump because my wife had a hard time finding a job. So she worked at some clinics that made some very inappropriate comments regarding females and stuff like that. So I'm just like, yeah, can't have that. And she was my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, if I'm working really hard and I can't like build something for you, I'm going to jump ship so that we can build something together. And we were in Austin, Texas, in Terry Black's, eating barbecue in 2022. It was like August, and I finally had a little vacation after coming back out of pandemic. And I was just so freaking tired. I was like crying because I was just like, man, I am cooked. My body is so exhausted. My mind's exhausted. I don't have time to spend with you or my dog, Oliver. And I was like, we're going to start Moment. Like, let's jump ship at Terry Black's.
Over some barbecue.
Yeah, I didn't eat any barbecue. I just literally took a bite of beef rib and I was like, I have no appetite right now.
You're just so stressed.
Yeah, just so stressed. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, and I like that you said there's no bad blood whatsoever, but you are not alone in that situation because there's tons of people that work their way up in a job and they get to a point where they are busting their butt and they're doing everything that they possibly can, but there's really like nowhere else for them to go. They're at the top of whatever it is that's possible for them. So it's not like it's the boss's fault. You know, the boss is doing what they want to have a successful business with great employees. They had a great employee. And a lot of times great employees do go off and they find something else or they create their own situation. So you in 2022 came up with the, decision to start something with your girlfriend, which is crazy that you were like, I'm going to start something with my girlfriend. I mean, what a great boyfriend, to be honest. That's a green flag. And now you're married. So we're past that. But okay. So you come home from Texas. What happens?
Yeah, so we were in Texas and I was like, hey, let's start a physical therapy company. And we were tossing around the name of Turning Point because I was like, I love the idea of being a turning point for somebody. But Christy comes from a dance background. She's like, that reminds me of like a ballet company. And I was like, all right, let's grab Turning Point. In pandemic, I was kind of contemplating like, did I make the right choice as a physical therapist? Because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to be able to get out of this career. So I started brewing beer during the pandemic. And I was like, I had this idea. I'm like, I'm going to create something called Moment Brewing Company. And there was going to be a beer for every single occasion. Like my boss is an asshole triple IPA. It could be a strong IPA. My kids are graduating college summer ale. My buddy's moving into a new place, Pilsner, right? So it's like you go to a store, it's like, wow, there's so many craft beer selections. And I wanted to just be able to be like, oh, this matches the occasion that I'm experiencing right now. Let's get that beer. And I was like, you know what? That sounds great. Like Moment, there's something about the word moment that I really like. So I was like, let's call ourselves Moment Physical Therapy and Performance. I was like, I'm going to give it 3 months. Then I was like, I'm going to give it 2. I'm going to give it 1 more month. I need to quit soon. And that happened probably in the span of like 2 to 3 days. But I told my previous employer again, like, I don't think you should burn any bridges, especially if you were treated very respectfully. I said, I'll take as long as you need, whatever you need. If it's till the end of the year, like 3 months, like I'm more than happy to provide that for you. Anything to make the transition as smooth as possible, I'm here for you.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how long did it take from the moment you came up with Moment Physical Therapy and Performance to opening the doors?
I started seeing people within a week.
Oh.
Yeah, I started once we were like, okay, we're no longer going to be a part of the company. I was no longer going to be a part of the company. I literally just designed something on Canva. It's still the same logo we use today. And I'm like, hey, I am starting something new and I'm excited that I'll be taking patients on my own. And I'll be in a gym called Soho Strength Lab in downtown in Little Italy.
Oh my gosh. So that was like really fast.
Yeah, turnaround was like quick, probably like a week or 2.
That's great. Yeah, definitely not burning a bridge, especially when somebody treated you so well. There's like no point in doing that.
No, for sure.
Someone
And
gonna
like
harm you.
everyone in that gym was, I think I still could have handled it better from like an emotional perspective. Because I felt like when I first started the practice, I was like, oh, I'm starting this because I want to beat them. But I was like, why do I have this chip on my shoulder for like absolutely no reason?
I think that's maybe just like, did you play sports?
Yeah, growing up.
A little bit of the competitiveness
Yeah.
almost. And also we live in New York City and it's like such a hustle. Like you have to be better than the other person type of mentality. Even if that's not who you are to your core, we kind of get like thrown into it. So definitely feel like maybe that was coming into it. But okay, wow, crazy.
Done a lot of therapy, so it's gotten much better.
Yeah, but it's clear that you have always kind of been an entrepreneur. So you went from sneakers to beer. What happened with that?
The beer was good. It just like, we did not have space to brew enough beer.
Okay.
Like once I made one batch, I couldn't buy another fridge to put in to like brew more beer at a time.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good. My brothers had it. Christy said it was good. I made it like a little like IPA. It was solid.
Would you ever do that again? Like,
No, it was way too
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so sneakers, beer, PT. I
Sold
love that.
candy in high school in a locker room. I did a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your take when it comes to physical therapy? Like, do you do things very traditionally? Do you kind of go off the beaten path a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't really need to be that complicated, physical therapy. I think most healthcare providers just don't understand that like people can adapt and improve and become more resilient. There's no like, literally, if you look at the research, every given year, there's about $200 to $800 billion wasted on unnecessary healthcare expenses every single year. So scans that were needed, surgeries that were needed, and treatments, injections, and things that were needed. So when it comes to physical therapy, my philosophy is pretty simple. I need to find a safe starting point. I need to figure out where you want to go, and I'm going to do everything I can to bridge that gap. And I'm usually bridging the gap with movement because that's the only thing that's scalable. You can't massage someone harder to change the tissue quality. You can't zap someone or stretch someone more. It's like nothing makes sense besides scaling exercise over time to meet the demands of someone's goals.
Are you like, is that like something you're like, let's be proactive instead of being reactive? Or are you kind of like a blend? Like, let's.
I would love for people to be proactive. I just think that the hardest part about that is that most people don't typically make a change until they've experienced enough pain. So it's very rare that people are proactive. And if they are, it's because they've had 1 or 2 injuries before in the past that really took them out. So I would love for people to be proactive. You need to have that kind of experience first in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
Or what typically happens is like maybe you go home for a holiday and you see your parents are getting older and you're just thinking like, holy cow, I can't lose myself. Stuff like that happens where like you almost experience someone else's pain and it makes you want to be a little bit more proactive.
It's one of those things where like when someone tells you something to do or tells you what to do, you don't want to do it. But then it's like you kind of have to find it on your own, whether you get injured yourself or you see somebody who's unhealthy. That makes a lot of sense. I want to talk a couple big misconceptions in the fitness space. Is bad posture actually a thing?
No. Hot take, but there's no such thing as like bad posture. You know, we're kind of sitting in this really comfortable couch right now. We're like super slouched. And people are like, oh yeah, if you're slouched, it's going to cause your back pain. But like, I don't know. I could sit and watch, you know, Love is Blind for like 5 hours and be perfectly fine. You know what I mean? So I sometimes think it's just the context of where you're at. I'm like, oh, I'm in bad posture. I'm at work and I'm also like extremely stressed. I don't sleep. I'm ripping zins. Like you're doing everything against you. And you're like, oh, it's definitely the posture. It can't be the benders or all the random things that I'm doing that are, you know, affecting my general health and stress levels.
Well, what would you say to the people that sit 8 hours a day?
The solution isn't going to be finding some sort of like perfect posture to sustain. It's just going to be to move as much as you can. Mm-hmm. Whether you're more upright or more slouched, the thing that usually feels good is switching your actual position versus adopting one position forever. So if you were in a perfect posture all of the time and we're like in this kind of army stance, at some point your lower back's going to feel kind of tense. Likewise, if you're here, you might feel like, oh, like I need to like just stretch my chest a little bit. So with posture, my take is just that it needs to be variable because we know what the studies show. It's less about having one perfect posture, but having more variability in your movement. If you're way too guarded and way too rigid, you can think about your grandparents, right? Their body is so tense. And if you're too loosey-goosey, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're going to have a hard time coordinating movements. It's more like a baby. So there's like this happy medium of like the ideal amount of variability, not being too rigid and not being too like loosey-goosey.
I love that because I feel like what's thrown around is that we have to sit upright for every time we're in a chair. Like we have to sit so good, but it makes sense because sometimes you sit up straight and it feels good. And then you're like, okay, I need to like, just like collapse a little bit. And then sometimes if you're sitting too slouched, like stretching up, like feels good. So it's almost just like moving around. And
I would say like, I put more merit into actually postures when you're training and working out because you're moving under heavier load. And if you actually want to change your quote unquote posture over time, it's probably going to happen in the gym and in the weight room versus, you know, just hanging out here. It's just too little load to actually change your tissue quality. What typically happens though is people sit like this and they also train like this. And then it's just, again, it's not that this position is bad. It's just they keep overloading the same position.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I feel like posture is definitely important in the gym.
Yeah.
Or like
we have people that come in with back pain. And sometimes they come into our clinic and we help them slouch more because they're so rigid and guarded. And then we have people that come in with back pain. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like you need to learn how to create tension when you're moving.
Yeah.
So it's never like a one-stop shop. Like this is what we're going to do when you have back pain. It's kind of figuring out what are your tendencies, what are your strategies, and what kind of inputs are you missing?
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's with everything. It should never just be a one size fits all. It's like, it has to be very individualized. Figure out what needs to happen for that specific person.
Yeah. I think that's the problem with medicine. It's like we take this approach where it's like you feel this symptom, you're going to get this treatment versus why do you feel that symptom? You know, if you're depressed, it's like, why are you depressed, right? It can't just be one very simple explanation because emotions, pain, and everything that a human being experiences is very complex.
Mm-hmm. Very true. That makes sense. Why do you think people stay stuck in injury cycles?
They do too much too soon after doing too little for too long, typically. So,
that was good.
It's something that we say all the time. It's like this boom and bust cycle. Instead of focusing on actual function, they focus on alleviating the pain. And a lot of physical therapists are really good at doing things that are more timeline based instead of a criteria based. Timeline based is like, hey, it's been 6 months. Go for a run. It's not really helpful, right? Timeline is really good when there's been an actual injury to the tissue where we have to wait for the tissue remodeling and stages of healing to occur. And depending on the injury, this can take anywhere from, 3 months to even a year, depending on like a surgery that you might have had. But for more like simple injuries that have come in, tissue gets injured, it's probably being repaired within like 1 to 2 months for like more simple injuries. And after those initial stages, the focus should be completely on function. But a lot of times people think that just because they have an absence of pain, they have a presence of function. And it's just not the truth. If your goals require you to be able to handle impact, be able to handle forces, your rehab needs to reflect that. It can't just be, oh, you got massage, we cracked your back, and it's been 3 months. All right, give it a go. Let's see what happens.
That's like the runner mindset is you feel an ache and pain. So you take a couple days off, maybe a week, and you're like, okay, I don't feel it anymore. Let's go. And you just go right out for a run. And then you're like, okay, wait.
Yeah.
I still feel it.
Hurts when I run 6 miles. I'm going to stop running. Feels better walking. I'm going to run 6 miles. And it's like boom, bust, boom, bust.
Or it feels good until like 3 miles. So, but I can run 3 miles and then it hurts. And then maybe I run through it a little bit or maybe I don't. There's a lot of things where it's like, sometimes I feel pain before the run. And then when I'm running, it goes away. And then sometimes I feel pain, only in the middle of the run and I just run through it. It's like,
there's a lot of, there's so many good runner memes. Like my toxic trait is insert. And I'm like, I live for those.
Literally me to a T. Well, speaking of pain and injury. So why does pain not always mean damage?
Yeah, pain does not always mean damage because pain isn't always a reflection of tissue injury. It's just a reflection of your perception of safety at times. So have you had any injuries before in the past?
I'm currently nursing one right now.
What do you got?
It's like Achilles ankle something.
Gotcha. So let's just say you have an Achilles ankle related injury. And then you go to a doctor, it's like, oh my gosh, Mallory, your foot is so flat. It's like so unstable. You go to a physical therapist and a physical therapist is like, oh, you've got like your hips are all out of whack. Your foot is really weak and you have all of these things wrong with you. All of a sudden now you're hyper alert of that body part and you're just like super, super sensitive because you're just thinking that it's very dangerous to live in your own body. And when you feel unsafe to live in your body, the threshold for when you start to experience pain gets a lot lower. Like little things like just touching you could be like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. Or like, oh my gosh, I took a weird step. You're hyper aware of things. So there are times where pain is a very accurate indicator of tissue damage, usually when there's inflammation present after an injury. But again, after the body heals, if we don't do anything to decrease that sensitivity, if I don't do anything to help you feel more confident in your body, you're still constantly thinking that you're in danger. Mm-hmm. And the brain doesn't register danger in any different ways, whether it's emotional or physical. It produces the same exact hormones and it decreases that threshold because you're always on high alert.
That makes so much sense. I feel like anyone who's ever dealt with an injury or anyone listening to this is currently dealing with one will know that when you have an ache and pain, whether it's your knee, your ankle, your shoulder, whatever, it's like every once in a while you just kind of like move it and you're like, is it still there? Like, do I still feel the pain? I'm so hype, like what you just said, I'm so hyper aware of how I, go on stairs or if I step down from something or if I'm like reaching for something. I'm so hyper aware of everything that I do that I feel like it's never going to heal because I'm just like, it's there. Like, is it mental? Is it just like, do I need to just like chill out?
Everything is mental and everything is physical as well, right? You're obviously feeling something. So the approach that we take, it's like biopsychosocial model. The bio aspect is all of the tissue related things, diagnoses, structural stuff. Psychological is the kind of things that you're alluding to, your coping mechanisms, your beliefs, and sociological. So it's more like socioeconomics and those kind of things like access to care. So I do think it's mental, but there are also things that happen where like maybe you haven't been able to find a really great workout in a while that made you feel like you're sweating and working hard. And when you have an experience like that, or like if you came in, you're injured and I was able to put together a session where we were able to rehab the injury, but also do other things that can strengthen your lower body and make you feel capable again. That physical input of going through a hard, rigorous program when you thought that you were broken can completely change your perspective on how you feel.
I like that because it's like, okay, well, I feel strong everywhere else. So
because I always give this analogy. If you were to come in and let's say you can only do like 5 push-ups, but I'm rehabbing your ankle injury, I would still strengthen your upper body and show you that you can go from 5 push-ups to 10 push-ups. And all I'm trying to prove to you is that your body is still capable of adapting. We just got to give you the right stimulus. If I give you too little of an input, you're just going to lose function, your muscles atrophy, your tendons get weaker. If I give you too much of an input, your likelihood of getting a flare up and injury is going to increase. But if I give you the right input over time, you're going to build resilience. And the same system that allows you to adapt in the upper body is the same exact system that is trying to adapt in the lower body. We just got to give it the right input.
I like that because I feel like normally for me specifically, if I'm getting injured, I want to pull back everything. So instead of, and then it's like, okay, maybe I do finally get healed and it feels like I'm building from ground zero and I feel so out of shape. And then it's just like horrible to get back into.
Yeah. And that's, if you're capable, I always tell patients, if you're capable of doing something, doing nothing is the first step in the wrong direction. And when you're dealing with something that's like tendon related, for instance, your availability every single day is going to be fluctuating. And that's also similar for any type of injury based off of your sleep and your stress. So your program needs to be able to allow you to push when you're feeling good and also dial it back when you aren't. And when injuries like this happen, I always just try to have conversations with my patients, because if our only identity is a runner, if our only identity is an entrepreneur, it's a super fragile identity. So right now you might be nursing an injury, but there's got to be silver lining somewhere where you learn to appreciate maybe what happens in the future when you are able to run, where you start to realize that like, hey, I am a runner and I take a ton of pride in that, but I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm also a girlfriend. I'm also a daughter. I'm also I can wear other hats so that I can still find my self-worth and have a positive self-image.
I will say that this is the first injury that I've had where I've had to pull back a lot from where I have been. And I'm trying to I'm seeing the positive in this injury, where like the mindset of, I was having such training anxiety where I was in the middle of a race block, or even if I was in between race blocks, where it felt like I couldn't take a day off. Now I was forcing myself to take a day off, always at least one day off a week. But that day made me feel awful. Mentally, physically, I felt like I was going to go crazy. Like I had to get at least like 10,000 steps or something. I was but in the moment, I didn't realize how toxic it actually was. So now I'm like, I could take 3 days off in a row. I'm good. Like I'm still getting movement. I still walk my dog, every day, but I didn't realize how much anxiety I was actually having. So when I eventually get back into being healthy and, maybe I get injured again in the future, it's probably going to happen at some point. It's inevitable. But I feel like I want to bring this part of me into my next training block of like, you don't need to be so toxic about it. Like training is meant to be fun. I'm not an Olympic athlete here. Like take time off.
Olympic athletes rest like crazy. And that's what people don't know. I was working with a couple of track and field sprinters. And after a really heavy workout, I'm like, what do? I go home and play Call of Duty and I relax on the couch. So there's like a degree of like, I think every single person should have 1 to 2 days of complete rest. And don't give me no like active recovery. I'm on a bike or I'm doing an easy run. It's like, you literally need to be a sloth. You need to lay on the couch and do nothing. Like that will do more for your performance than anything else.
I think it's because the toxicness of like, it's us to, we are our worst like critics, and it's like no one else is forcing us to do this. It's all based.
It's the Garmin watch. It's like, are you still training? Like,
I actually only wear my watch when I'm being physically active because it can get crazy. But I also think that's one of the toxic things about social media is because it looks and feels like everyone around you is doing so much and so much more than you.
Strava is allowing you to track your physical therapy right now. And that's like, at first I was like, oh, that's cool. Then I'm like, we should probably chill, because some people are like, I'm not working hard enough during physical therapy. It's like, you might not need to right now at this stage.
Say, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so.
It's gamifying everything, basically. Yeah. I love Strava, don't get me wrong, but it feels like it's more and more pressure if I'm not doing enough. Yeah. It's too much comparison, unfortunately. Well, what would you say is the biggest mistake people are making when rehabbing an injury?
Not getting enough opinions. If you get an opinion that you don't really like, I think you should seek out other opinions. There's too many physical therapists that don't understand what you're going through, and you need to find someone that does. Because if you go to a clinic and like people just disregard your goals, it's like, oh, why do you even need to run a marathon anymore? You've ran so many. It's like, how are they going to help you get back to running a marathon? They don't even respect that goal anymore. Mm-hmm. Or at times, like as you get older, people are going to say like, you're just too old for this. It's like, no, you're not. Like, I work with people that are still running well into their 50s, 60s, and 70s. So it's like, it is possible. If you get an opinion that you don't like, find another one. If you're not seeing progress within 2 to 3 months of being consistent somewhere, find another provider, because that usually gives you enough time. If your program doesn't change every couple of weeks, find another provider, because if your body is adapting and getting stronger, but the program stays exactly the same, it's not going to do anything for you. And make sure that you find someone that's like really, really providing you with like actual tangible guidelines. When you go to a physical therapist and they just say random things like, oh, your glute's weak. It's like, all right, so how do I know when it's strong enough? Tell me exactly how do I know it's when it's strong enough? Or it's like, this is very unstable. Okay, if I train, when can I quantify this as stable, right? Because most people are just throwing out terms. And I've seen this as a physical therapist when I was a student. I was in Atlanta, Georgia. This person couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with one of the patients. She wiggles the patella around. She goes, oh, you got a little bit of patellar instability. And I was like, oh, can you show me what you saw? He goes, I really didn't know what else to say. And I was like, oh, geez.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. People are not good at their jobs.
That's terrifying.
It's like 90% of people within any given field are terrible at their jobs. 5% are just good enough. They're getting by. They do the trick. 4% really great at what they do, and 1% completely changes what you think is capable from that given profession. And I see this all the time with accounting, right? Like, I've worked with an accountant where I'm like, you're an amazing accountant. I didn't even think this was possible. You see this all the time. Sometimes with like a restaurant, it's like, I didn't even know I can have that kind of experience. But there's so many people doing jobs that they hate. And I just find that to be so sad, because that's very common, not only in healthcare, but every industry.
I think it makes sense though. If you are trying to rehab something and you want to get back to running, you need to find somebody, a physical therapist, a doctor that specializes in getting somebody back into the sport they want to do. There are probably physical therapists that exist for like the older demographic that are just trying to keep them moving and standing and sitting upright with very little pain. Then you've got therapists like yourself that you're trying to get these people back and better than they probably were beforehand into the sport they want to do. So finding somebody that is specific to that is probably key, but then also finding the person who also wants the best for you and is actually invested in you, in your comeback if it's like an injury.
Correct. Yeah. And there are times like I've treated people pro bono after, working with us for a couple of months, because I was like, I'm not a slave to insurance. Like, you're paying me out of pocket and you're investing your hard-earned money on me. So I'm fully invested in getting you an outcome that I think I can get you. If I told you to commit to working with us, it's because I felt really strongly about it. And if I have to work with you pro bono after this kind of program that we might have said that was enough, I'm willing to do that, because I want you to know that there are people out there that are completely invested in your health. It's not like, all right, give this a go, I'll see you later. Like, I think about every single patient that I haven't been able to help. Once a year, I'll have a patient that I'll treat pro bono. Once a year, I'll also have a patient, I'll tell them, hey, come back in. I've been learning a ton of things and I want to make sure I can get you the outcome. Are you still struggling with that same thing?
That's really nice. It's nice to hear somebody in the medical field to talk like that, because it can feel as like just a client of or a person in the medical, that goes somewhere in the medical field. It just kind of feels like we're a number.
Yeah, I've had a handful of people cry where like they're going through a hard time and I know that I can help them and I know that they've been through the healthcare system. And I'll just say their name and I'll look them in the eye and I'm say like, I know it's been a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm just letting you know right now that like I'm fully invested in making sure you get to the other side of this.
That's that psychology degree.
Yeah,
that's coming in.
Yeah.
That probably does make you a better therapist. You're more compassionate and more understanding, and you understand basically what people need mentally, like what they need to hear to make them also feel better.
Yeah, because there's varying degrees of like people that you're going to see. You're going to have people that are like uberly confident, and these are always like finance bros and like, they're just like, oh, I got this. And I'm like, you can't do that. That's kind of bad. Mm-hmm. And you got people that are like very underconfident, and change only happens when you have like the right amount of confidence. If you have too much confidence, I'm not going to change. If you have too little confidence, it's not going to happen either. So the people that have too little confidence, I need to bring them up. So that's kind of my way of doing so. One of the ways.
That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about strength training for runners.
Yeah.
Why do runners need strength?
Oh, man. Running is a lot of stress on the body, and stress isn't good or bad because you can make your body more capable of handling that stress. Now, your aerobic system will develop a lot quicker than your musculoskeletal system. So at some point, your ability to run is going to exceed your muscle and tendons' ability to handle those things, which is why whenever you're ramping up your running, like every 5 to 6 weeks, like you should be taking a down week in volume and intensity to allow yourself to recover and then build it back up again. Running progress isn't like this. It's like we're going up, take a little bit of a dip. We're going up, we're taking a little bit of a dip. If you just keep progressing week over week, you're going to get injured. So for runners, strength training is just a great way to improve overall like health of the muscles and the tendons. It allows you to hit certain intensities that you wouldn't experience during running. So there's a mental bonus there as well. And when we talk about really specific stuff from a performance perspective, like run economy, like training things like the calves, the quads, and the glutes, those are the main drivers for things like running.
Mm-hmm. And what's your recommendation for runners? Like how often should they be strength training?
My recommendations for most people is just 2 really good strength training days per week. If you can do 2 strength training days per week, that is amazing. And those strength training days don't need to be super, super complicated, right? It can be some squats, some deadlifts, some lunges. You can even go to, Lifetime Fitness, Planet Fitness, Equinox, and just rip some leg extensions and leg curls. Doesn't need to be that complicated. And every, month, like just add a little bit more weight. And if you meet someone that can understand jumping and plyometrics at a very high level, sprinkle in some jump training as well, and that'll do wonders for you. Progressive jump training over the span of 12 weeks has shown to improve run economy by 4%. And that's the same amount that gets increased by wearing super shoes. So these are just all things that are just so much low-hanging fruit for runners.
Yeah. When you talk or do strength training, for runners specifically, do you incorporate a lot of single leg?
For sure. Yeah. We typically have a primary hinge and a primary squat. A primary hinge can be anything. It'd be a trap bar deadlift, barbell RDL, and then the primary squat, same thing, something barbell related. And then the secondary ones are more single leg or staggered stance kind of exercises. And single leg deadlift, single leg squat to a bench, you can mess around with the tempos, the variations, how you're carrying the weight. There's an unlimited amount of exercises. And if you haven't had an injury before in the past, it's less about the exercise that you're picking and more so, can you just progressively overload that a little bit more week to week?
I think what I have seen throughout the last few years specifically is runners getting into the sport and they start immediately training for something, 5K, 10K, marathon, whatever. And they don't do any strength training or they do very, very minimal. And then after the race is over, then they're like, oh, okay, well now I want to get stronger. So now I'm going to strength train. And it's like, you could have started strength training at any point during those 16 weeks. And I tell that to them. I'm like, you don't have to wait until the race is over to start something. Like you can get into it like in the middle of it. If you realize, everyone should realize that they should be doing strength training no matter what they are, whether they're running marathons or not running marathons, they don't ever have to run. I think everybody should be strength training. But do you ever find people that come in the middle of a training block, or maybe they just finished and they're like, okay, well now I want to start strength training?
I ran my first marathon 2 years ago because I wanted to understand what that felt like. And I completely understand why runners don't want to strength train near the, last month like marathon training. It just gets super exhausting. So I think there are certain phases, and it's something I found myself personally now in the season I'm in. We're building 3 different businesses. Got a lot of things going on, opening up another clinic. I was trying to get faster and stronger in the weight room. And then that led to me having an injury a couple of months ago. And I'm like, why am I training like an asshole? Right? Like in some stages of life, I'm not training for performance. I'm just training for health, meaning I don't need to push it as hard as I can in the gym because my stress level everywhere else is high. It's the same thing with running. If you are introducing strength training in the middle of a block and you haven't really strength training before, you're going to feel pretty sore the first month, but it will get better. Now, with that said, strength training is amazing. It doesn't need to be like a 10 out of 10 difficulty where you're walking and limping out of the gym. Typically, when we're introducing someone to strength training, it's like a 6 to 7 out of 10 session. Right? It shouldn't get harder than that. And then as they start to feel more comfortable, we'll start to ramp the intensity to something like an 8 or a 9. But as you get closer to your race, it's less about strength training as a means to like get stronger in the gym. It's more so I'm doing these things so that I can get better at running, and your brain does not know how much weight is on the bar. It just knows intensity. So as long as you keep staying within that range, you're good.
I think when post-pandemic, when HIIT training was super popular, I feel like that kind of ruined a lot of mindsets where anytime I step into a gym, I need to be dying, out of breath, sweating, stumbling out of the gym, where my thing is only one of my 2 to 3 workouts a week feel pretty intense. Other than that, it's more of like, yeah, like 6 to 7, maybe I broke a sweat a little bit, but like I'm not dying in that workout. But I feel like the HIIT, when you were at Reload, because that was like that time, 2020 to 2022, when HIIT interval and Trevor hosting these insane classes with burning $1,000 or 1,000 calories per hour. Do you feel like people kind of fell into that HIIT or nothing vibe?
I think it just became like, we live in a city where there's so many different experiences when it comes to fitness, and people want to offload that. They just want to show up, listen to some banging music, and like just do whatever the workout is. And there's becoming more concepts now, like semi-private 1 to 4, 1 to 6, which I think are way better in the sense that you get something that's like semi-customized to you, and you know that it's getting progressed over time. Whereas like when you're in a HIIT class, I think the thing that they do really, really well is the marketing. Like it's just so sexy to be in the space. You finish your workout. They probably always have some sort of really cool mirror where people take a group pic. And it's like you can't help but feel like you're part of a community, right? In a city that sometimes can feel super lonely. So I think going to a class, showing up, seeing the same 6, 7, 8 a.m. people, it's amazing. But at some point, sometimes it can become unsustainable. And there are certain concepts that I think they do it fairly well. But when the music's blaring and everyone's having a good time, you just want to keep sending it, and you can't send it 5 days a week.
That makes sense. And not to plug Trevor's gym, but he was an Orange Theory coach. So he did that. Like, I mean, I did as well. It's like, it's loud, it's exciting. You see the same people, the good lighting and all the things. Now, he's created Performance HQ in Union Square, and they started group classes, but they are smaller. And so it's a little bit more, you get more one-on-one training with that, coach that's in there. It's tailored more. And also they have the freedom to be able to change the workout in the middle of the workout if they feel it's not working, and I think that makes it so much more valuable to the person, also the people spending the money on that, but also you're not wasting your time on just like going into a class that has a generic workout. Finding classes, if you're going to do group classes, I think it's important to find classes that are ultimately going to get you the most success in whatever it is that you're doing in fitness.
If you're doing group classes 2 days a week, send it. By all means, send it, but don't do it back-to-back days. And then the other 2 days per week, give it 80%. And it sounds ridiculous, but you're going to save yourself a lot of headaches, and you'll probably see more progress.
Oh, I like that. Okay, there are some questions from the listeners that I kind of want to go through. So what is one thing people think is helping their injury, but it's actually making it worse?
The only thing that I can think of is rest. Like you don't need to keep resting anymore. Like if you're capable of doing something, constantly resting is not doing you any favors. There's a lot of things that don't make injuries worse, but people continue to do, thinking that it makes it significantly better. Like putting on compression boots and hitting yourself with a Theragun or a massage gun. It's like none of those things are inherently bad, but they're also not moving the needle forward as well if you don't have like a progressive training plan. Now, the only thing that I would say continues to make things worse is if you keep resting. If you don't do anything that is with near your edge of capabilities. And to me, even if you are doing something that's incredibly easy, I put that in the same bucket as resting, because it's not enough stress to actually give your body a reason to adapt. So if you're an athlete and you're not like, if it's been like a week, if you're upright and walking, you should be able to do a pretty good rehab plan that's getting you working pretty hard. If you're maybe in a boot or you had a significant injury, I can still train you in a lot of different ways to maintain your conditioning. People come in with like a lower body injury, they'll do arms only assault bike, right? Like they will still do some sort of conditioning to maintain what they've got. And I just hate when athletes are prescribed rest for long periods of time.
I hate getting told I need to rest. So that's perfect. I think a lot of runners don't like to rest, and that's part of the problem,
Yeah, like even
but
if
also not the problem.
but if a runner couldn't run, can he push a sled? Perfect. We can still do different kind of work from a cardio perspective to make sure that you don't lose all the aerobic adaptations that you worked so hard to get. Can you throw a med ball? Can you do body weight circuits? There's so many other ways to maintain certain qualities that when someone's just told to rest completely, I just don't think it's a great solution.
Mm-hmm. Well, good, because I don't want to rest, so that works out. Is stretching actually useless?
Stretching, if it is helpful at all, like longer durations, like 60 to 90 seconds, does give you a short-term like period of time where you have an improved like mobility. But that window of opportunity, you need to load it. If you want to make longer term changes, you have to put enough stress into the body. Stretching is probably the bottom tier of like making changes, like stretching and foam rolling. If stretching and foam rolling opens up range of motion for you, you need to start to load that range of motion. So if I do something like a couch stretch or a hip flexor stretch, and I feel my back quad and hip flexor like opening up, I need to do some lunges where like I'm opening up that same hip flexor and quad. So like whatever it is that you're doing from a foam rolling or stretching perspective, try to do something active to complement it.
That makes so much sense. I've never heard anyone say that. That just painted a really clear picture of that. Because I also think a lot of runners get told, well, we need to stretch, we need to stretch, we need to stretch. And it's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Am I stretching like what's just being used?
Yeah, I always go back to like first principles, right? It's like the body is never going to adapt for something that's either way too hard or way too easy. So we always have to find a sweet spot. If you're like stretching and like, you don't want to go to the point where you're grimacing and you feel like something's about to pull, but if you're stretching and like it's kind of a thing that you kind of go through and like doesn't feel like it's really doing much, probably not making any positive changes. You should always be able to gradually expose yourself to more, and that's the only way to actually create long-term change.
Got it.
I don't stretch much. Yeah.
I try my best to do dynamic stretches before, or dynamic warm-ups before a run.
Yeah, that's great.
And workout. And then post run, my goal is usually to do some sort of stretching, even if it's just like lean over, touch my toes. So like just like it feels good. I wouldn't do it if it didn't feel good. Yeah. But I don't do anything crazy. I'm not over here trying to do a split.
Yeah, and if it feels good, by all means. I just don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to have a stretching routine. You don't.
I love that. That's very nice to hear. What's something physical therapists won't tell you?
That they have no idea what's going on.
Wait, like actually?
Yeah, like they're like straight up physical therapists will like just make up some random diagnoses or random things. Like they have no, like there's a lot of people that don't know what's going on sometimes and they feel like they have to give you a solution. Mm-hmm. Whereas like if I don't know what's going on, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what's going on. Right? 'Cause I don't want to lead someone on. I don't want someone to keep coming back to do the same stupid banded clamshell exercise. Like if I tell you to keep coming back into our gym and our clinic, I'm pointing out something very specific that we found that is relevant to what you're experiencing. And we're usually able to find 3 to 5 things. But there's a lot of physical therapists sometimes where it's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So we'll just say weak glutes, like, like stuff like that.
That's so frustrating.
So I think in general, more people just need to be okay with saying, I don't know what's happening or I don't have the answer. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. It's better than leading someone else on.
Agree. What are your thoughts on dry needling?
It is helpful for some people and helpful for not helpful for other people. There's a lot of different narratives surrounding dry needling. It's like breaking up scar tissue. Probably not likely, right? Like the things that we think are happening from a dry needling perspective, where it comes to like, oh, we're breaking up scar tissue, or I'm like creating like the most plausible thing. It's like I'm creating like micro trauma to an area and increasing blood flow to the area. But whenever someone says like they're breaking up scar tissue with a modality, I'm like, surgeons literally need a scalpel to break up scar tissue. Yeah. And you're telling me that you could do it with your hands or like some sort of weird scraping tool? Probably not likely. But some people respond really well to dry needling. Some people don't. Some of it's subjective. Some of it's placebo. It's kind of all up in the air.
I'm terrified of it.
Yeah. It hurts. But it feels good sometimes.
Not something I ever want. Honestly, sometimes placebo is super helpful.
I'll take a placebo.
Yeah. I'll take it if it's going to make me feel better. Yeah. 2 things. Plantar fasciitis and shin splints, do they ever actually go away?
Yes, but a lot of what happens from plantar fasciitis and shin splints is like you've had an increase in workload after, not doing too much for a while. Like maybe you were doing something, but you just ramped up your training way too much. Those things kind of occur. It can be super frustrating with these kind of injuries because you can't use the same exact program. You need to have some sort of guidelines as to like, when should I push and when should I dial it back? If my symptoms are at baseline or there's no symptoms at all, I'm going to push it that session. If my symptoms are slightly above baseline, I'm probably going to maintain my session. If my symptoms are significantly past my baseline, I'm probably going to reduce what my session is that day. We need to adapt the program to how that person feels day to day. And over time, that's going to allow you to build more resilience. If you take the same exact program, there are going to be days where like you're not feeling quite as good, right? And I don't want people to be tracking everything like their steps and this kind of activity. It's just how are your baseline symptoms that day? Perfect. Let's use that as a KPI or something to measure over time. But all these things do get better. You need someone that helps you understand how to manage that load, and you need to work with someone that understands how to progress load over time.
Are these things preventable?
Nothing is preventable per se. It's kind of a weird paradox, right? Because if we prevent an injury, we won't ever know that we did. So I think in general, the things that help prevent or like reduce the risk of something like this is just having gradual progress over time. A lot of endurance athletes that we see are ramping up their training way too quickly. So I always recommend working with like a coach that understands how to increase volume, dial it back, increase volume and dial it back. Mm-hmm. But if you're just like literally every week doing more miles, doing more on the bike, like that is just too much on the body. Your body's not going to be able to adapt.
I literally look forward to my deload weeks in training. And for anyone who doesn't know what that means, it's like you train, you progressively get more and more for like, let's just say 3 weeks. And then the 4th week is you do less.
Yep.
And then you go 3 more weeks hard and then you take another week and deload. What I hate is tapering. The taper crazies are like a real thing.
Oh yeah, because you're just like, am I still capable of running that fast?
And the phantom pains. Do you have people that come to you with phantom pains?
No, but
okay.
I know that happens, and I tell people it's like you're gonna get in your head.
Yeah,
you're just in your head, and most of these things, like we just got to give it 2 weeks. Like whenever I'm dealing with injury, I'm like, just give it. If it's not bothering you significantly, just give it 2 weeks. It's gonna go away most likely.
Because it usually does. Yeah. Okay, I want to end with some rapid fire.
Let's go.
So these are quick answers. Most overrated fitness trend.
Oh my gosh, I think there's so many overrated fitness trends. It's hard to even keep track. But right now, I think longevity as an overall concept is just so overrated.
Mm-hmm. Most underrated habit?
Meditation.
Oh. One thing everyone should do daily?
Practice gratitude.
Best exercise for longevity?
Jumping in plyometrics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
If you don't jump and do plyometrics, your bone health is going to severely decrease. The thing that goes away as you age is your ability to produce force very quickly. So once you stop jumping and being explosive, you're going to age a lot quicker. So the fountain of youth isn't all these weird hormone treatments and all these like things that you're peptides, etc. It's like really good quality strength training. Right? Making sure that you could jump for the rest of your life, making sure that you could squat ass to grass and like go through your full range of motion. Like musculoskeletal health as a whole, like there's nothing that can replace a really good strength training program.
So I need to call my parents and start telling them to do some jumps. Yeah. Start jumping, please. Start squatting. One strength training myth.
Man, there are just so many myths. I just can't even know where to start. One big strength training myth is that POV, this exercise is going to melt your pain away. Like all those fucking videos on Instagram, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning from the best. And I just wish I came across your Instagram sooner so I knew how to eliminate back pain with this arbitrary stretch.
Yeah. Okay, this one might ruffle some feathers, but it's the last one. Yeah. Does lighter equal a better runner?
I don't think so per se. I will say that everyone's got a different ceiling, right? So I always say like when you watch the elite runners, people that are running like sub 230, everyone pretty much looks the same, right? And then when you're running below sub 3, you start to see some people that aren't like thin as hell and they have some muscle. When you start seeing like sub 330, you start to see a little bit more hybrid athletes. When you see sub 4, even more hybrid athletes. When you see sub 5, you see everybody.
Mhm.
And I think we should celebrate what the body is capable of doing. We should measure ourselves against certain things. It's not like if I play basketball, I'm going to expect to be like LeBron. Body definitely does play a role, but I think we're all running our own race, right?
Mhm.
If I compare my body and I'm like, I'm not skinny and I need to get skinnier in order to be a better runner, well, what does that do to your self-image? What does that do to your confidence? And what kind of unnecessary stress are you placing on yourself along the way?
Mhm.
So can it help? Definitely, sure. But like, do you need to? I don't think so, right? Because I think we're all doing this. If you're an elite athlete, sure, there's a lot of things that you have to dial in. But if you're running because you just want to run and enjoy moving your body, don't stress about that.
That's a great answer. I like that. Okay, well, before we wrap up, if someone is interested in coming to see you or maybe go to your practice, where can they find you?
Yeah, the easiest way is to be on Instagram. It's at moment.ptp. So it's moment.peter. And the same thing on a website, www.momentptp.com. Our team is phenomenal. And we've got, I'm super proud of, how much we've grown. But we've got some absolute savages. One of our PTs, I think, ran like a 2:53 marathon or something, just insane.
That's crazy.
So they're people that do things at a very high level. They compete in powerlifting, high rocks, and all of these kind of things. And we're also physical therapists.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I'm obviously congratulations on all your success. It's crazy to see where you've gone in the last, couple of years. You and your wife are absolutely killing it. She's incredible too. We have to give a shout out to Christy. She's incredible. And she also is big. She's getting into running. Like
she's so fast. Like, I hate running with her. Like she's running like zone 2 or 3. I'm in zone 5.
Yeah.
Like, she is
That's
fast.
me and Trevor. Literally. That's me and Trevor. Well, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your wisdom. And I really do feel like a lot of what I'm taking away today is finding the right PT for you. Like wherever it is that you are in life is really important. And also getting multiple opinions if you don't like the first one.
No, for sure. And appreciate you for having me on. I had a really great time.